This is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Revenge of the Green Lanterns Gold Label Cyborg Superman. This is the Target exclusive red version. Picked this guy up today, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus. This guy's part of the Gold Label collection. A Gold Label figure is simply a retailer exclusive. Whether it be Walmart or GameStop, this Gold Label is a Target exclusive. DC Multiverse Cyborg Superman. Here he is in the package. We have a collector's card, display stand, and it looks like 2 alternate hands totaling 4 interchangeable hands. One side of the package, Cyborg Superman from Revenge of the Green Lanterns. Other side, Cyborg Superman. At the bottom, there's his barcode if that helps. And at the back, here he is, posed up from the comics. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. He has a display stand, a collector's card, 2 alternate hands, totaling 4 interchangeable hands. Before I tell you all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is the Cyborg Superman. His real name is Hank Henshaw. The story is that he was on board a LexCorp space shuttle with his wife and 2 other crew members when it crashed. At first, the accident was thought to have been caused by Superman, who created a solar flare, exposing the crew to a fatal dose of radiation. With his body deteriorating, Hank transferred his consciousness into LexCorp's mainframe, recreating himself as a cyborg in Superman's image. When his wife died, deranged Hank blamed Superman for her death and became one of the Man of Steel's most fiercest foes. There was a brief period of time when Superman died that Cyborg Superman, quote-unquote, had amnesia, didn't know his origin, and kind of thought he was Superman. He fought on the side of good while Superman was gone. But it was all sort of an act, and turned out he had this big scheme and was a Superman villain the entire time. Now, there is a different version of the Cyborg Superman in the New 52, that's Superman's uncle, but this is one I'm more familiar with. And this one has a red costume, and is more so when he's a Green Lantern villain. He's affiliated with the Sinestro Corps and the Manhunters. So let's take a closer look. Start with his face here. Now, this guy was introduced in 1990. Pretty close to Terminator, Terminator 2. I mean, he looks like a freaking T-800, almost spot on. And half his face intact, half missing. Totally reminds me of Terminator 1 and 2. Now, the face looks pretty good. I love that jaw, the metal teeth, and sort of halfway under skin. It's just so well done. And this figure did a great job of putting that flesh on top. Looks like he's got a red eye. It looks good. Like I said, it totally reminds me of the T-800 for the Terminator franchise. As we go further down, it's a big, strong, bulky body. Kind of reminds me of the Hush body, but I don't think that's exactly what it is. I tried to compare them last time, and I couldn't really tell any reused parts. Love all the robotic stuff inside of there. Look at the detailing all over his arm. Very, very nice. It is double-jointed elbow. Double-jointed knee on this side, single-jointed knee on this side, and you feel like maybe they could have somehow utilized this for articulation. It has a sculpted part here, which should be painted in robotic metal, but still a freaking awesome figure. You can see the 2-toe robotic foot, and this one has a Superman boot on it. He's got a black cape with a cloth, soft goods, and a bendy wire on the inside for posing purposes. This is a variant of the regular version of the Cyborg Superman, and I both think they're awesome figures. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which I think is really, really good. Both the side that has the flesh on it looks creepy, half flesh, half robotic mouth. And the entire robotic side also looks really cool. Very pleased with what I'm looking at. And then here's a figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, starting off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane display stand we've seen countless times before. And then we have his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of this version of the Cyborg Superman with this red outfit. Cyborg Superman, Revenge of the Green Lanterns. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. Now let's check out his hands. He has a total of 4 of them. 2 left hands and 2 right hands. Here's Cyborg Superman with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here's his alternate pair of hands. His right hand is a pointing hand, and his left hand is sort of an open hand. Looks like it could be a grabbing, choking, or throwing hand. Now I wanted to talk about his cape. He has a cloth soft goods cape. It's all black and has a bendy wire on either side. It can stretch out about that far, pretty nice. And like I said, bendy wire, you can take all kind of different poses. Whether you have his cape sort of going up, like he's maybe gliding in a downward position. Personally, I like to have the cape sort of flowing in the wind. And an easy way to do that is just take the bendy wire, fold it above one of your fingers, back down over another, and then back up again. Then, of course, take the other side, just sort of tuck it underneath there, and bam, you have a quick version of his cape flowing in the wind. Now, I could spend a little bit of time, make it look a little bit better, but honestly, it looks pretty damn good like this. Now to check out the differences and similarities between this red version of the Cyborg Superman and the traditional version done in Superman colors. So let's take a closer look. They are 100% the same figure, same body, same articulation, different paint job. Start with their head here. Pretty much the same, except this guy has this sort of red part on his chin. They both have the Superman logo, and on the original version it should be darker on his right side. I don't believe that is the case on this one, at least in the comic pictures I saw it didn't look that way. Of course, he's red, where he's blue. The red on him is darker than the red on him. The Superman symbol has black in the back instead of yellow. The trunks are similar, but the belt is black versus yellow. The legs look good. They both have that same sculpted area that should be painted metallic. And they both have that hole in there, which is pretty cool and accurate, although I really think they could have found a way to make that a double joint. Capes, different colors. So, both really sharp figures. I'm probably going to say I prefer this one, because that's a version I'm more familiar with, but this one visually looks very, very nice. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and its accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, staying about 7.3, maybe 7.4 inches tall, which can translate to around 18.5 centimeters. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, it can rotate side to side. He can look up about that far, down quite a bit. He can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got this butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest. Increase the range of motion and cover a large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate and it's hinged as well. He's got a ball joint in his torso. Rotate around. Forward and back. Another one in his waist. Rotate around. Forward and back. Between the two, very good range of motion in the torso. Legs complete as a splits, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is decent on him. Legs go forward, about that far, back not much. Double jointed knees. And his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. Here's a look at the Cyborg Superman on the streets of Metropolis, pointing right at you. And here's a look at this red Cyborg Superman leading his army of manhunters into battle. Now let's check them out. Next to some of their action figures. Starting off with some of their Cyborg Superman figures. Here's the gold label red Cyborg Superman next to the Death and Return of Superman version. These are both Hank Henshaw. And here he is next to both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of the Cyborg Superman from the New 52. This version is Zor-El, which is Superman's uncle. And so here would be all four versions of the Cyborg Superman that I have. I don't have any from any other companies. I'd say the one on the far left is my favorite. And then here he is, next to Eradicator. On the left we have the Death and Return of Superman version, and on the right, the Rebirth version that worked for General Zod. Then, next to both the regular and Platinum versions of Steel. This particular version is not from Death and Return of Superman, but it's close enough. And now, with the Con-El Superboy, this is not the Death and Return version, this is also the Rebirth version. They have the Death and Return version coming soon, in the Page Puncher wave. Next, with a few different McFarlane Superman figures that are sort of tied to the Death and Return of Superman storyline. On the far left, we have the 90s swole mullet Superman. To the right of Cyborg, we have Superman, who is fighting Doomsday and is battle damaged. And the far right, we have Superman in his black solar suit. He wore that when he came back to life. Now, the guys on the far right are not technically from the Death and Return of Superman storyline, They're from more modern storylines from the Rebirth. Here's the Cyborg Superman next to Sinestro. After the death and return of Superman storyline, Cyborg Superman kind of became a Green Lantern villain. He worked with the Sinestro Corps and the Manhunters. Then, next to a Manhunter is a robot that works for the Guardians of OA and used to protect the galaxy. They were replaced by the Green Lanterns when they sort of went rogue. And I did get 7 of these Manhunter robots. Army building at its finest. Now let's check them out. Next is some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. These guys are both Target exclusives, gold label figures. We have the red Cyborg Superman and the new 52 Superman. Here's the Cyborg Superman next to some of the James Gunn Superman movie figures that I have. We have Metamorpho, and then the David Cornsweet Superman, both the regular and battle damage versions. There's also a deluxe version with Crypto that I'm hoping to get soon. And here he is, next to the most recent Batman theatrical wave. We have the Platinum Bronze version of Michael Keaton Batman, the Batman vs. Superman Jeremy Irons Alfred, and the Batman Forever Jim Carrey Final Suit Riddler. Then, with a couple of McFarlane cover recreations, we have the infamous stolen Killing Joke Joker and the Dark Knight Returns Batman. And now, with the Amazon exclusive Glow in the Dark Captain Carrot. Here's the red Cyborg Superman next to the Eradicator, Bizarro, regular Cyborg Superman, Armored Hell Jordan, Jade, and Cowboy Batman. And here he is, next to both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of the Walmart exclusive Year 1 Batman and Lieutenant Jim Gordon. Then, with both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of Icon. And finally, with a GameStop exclusive Frostbite Red Hood and George Clooney Batman. Now let's check him out. Next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figures, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And now, with some Jakks-specific wrestling figures, and some Diamond Select toys. Here's the Cyborg Superman, next to some Peanut Butter Oreos. And here he is, with some DC Direct and NECA Superman figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel Superman figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a really nice Cyborg Superman figure. I do prefer the traditional colors from Death and Return, Reign of the Supermen, but I'd say this one might actually look visually more pleasing. It looks really good. The dark color scheme makes me get more of a villain feel to him. The black, the dark red. The traditional colored one kind of looks like a hero, and he was posing as one for a while. His accessories kind of on the weak side, 2 alternate hands, cape. I like the material, I like the wire. Sculpt and paint job are excellent. This guy moves very good, very fluid, nothing stuck. Everything has a good range of motion. The robot parts look fantastic. The face looks great. Yeah, it would have been nice if he had double joints on both his knees, but I understand. Kind of hard to accommodate. I do like that hole they have through there. And the slight missing bit of silver on the right leg. Not a big deal, but odd they would sculpt it and not paint it. If I were to rate this figure, I'd give him a solid 8 out of 10. I believe it's the same rating I give the regular version, which I do prefer ever so slightly because that's the version of the Cyborg Superman I am most familiar with. That one is my preferred version, but I think this one looks a little bit better. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to save the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.